This is Southern Cross News with Joe Palmer.
Good evening everyone and welcome to Southern Cross News. Jacqui Lambie has come out swinging against Steve Martin, her former running mate turned Senate rival. She's preparing to do battle to win back her seat from the new National Senator, saying he can't stick up for Tasmania from within the party.
Former allies prepare for battle. Ousted Senator Jacqui Lambie today airing her doubts over the ability of new National Senator Steve Martin to stick up for Tasmania.
Steve Martin won't have any other choice but to vote with the Liberal National Party because the votes up there are so tight. And if he thinks that he's going to be able to run around as Liberal National Party and independent, he's delusional.
We'll still be in there bartering not only with the Nationals representing Tasmania, but also with the coalition. So I don't see it greatly changing.
Senator Martin was booted from the Jacqui Lambie network earlier this year, now saying he likes his re-election odds and vowing to keep fighting for Tasmanians.
Look, it's been a natural progression, and put up the record of Jacqui Lambie, put her against mine, and let's see how that goes for the people.
But Ms Lambie says she's got her boots on and is ready to mount a grassroots re-election campaign to win back her seat.
I love that because that's where you find all the issues. The people of Tasmania will tell you what the issues are, and I'll tell you what, there's enough smart Tasmanians out there to even give you the solutions while you're going along.
Senator Martin saying he is already on the lookout for candidates to increase the Nationals' foothold across the state.
I still have my beliefs in what I want to fight for, and that's Tasmania and Tasmanians.
6 of Tasmania's 12 senators will all fight for their seat when we head to the polls next year. Michelle Wisby, Southern Cross News.
3 men have been charged following a robbery at Devonport's Pardo supermarket and takeaway store yesterday afternoon. Brendan James Maguire and Samuel Pennicott appeared in the Launceston Magistrates Court earlier today. They've both been charged with motor vehicle stealing, aggravated armed robbery and trespass. Mr Maguire didn't enter any pleas and was remanded in custody. Mr Pennicott pleaded not guilty to all charges and was released on bail. Both men will appear in court again late in June. A third man was charged with the same offences this afternoon. He will appear in the Devonport Magistrates Court later tonight. Former Tasmanian Health Executive Jane Holden has relaunched a legal battle with the state government over her sacking in 2014. She's seeking $800,000, claiming the government breached her employment contract and needs to pay out its remainder. Lawyers for the government compared her position to an appendix, saying it no longer had any function under a new health system structure. But her lawyers argue her position wasn't properly made redundant, calling the operational reasons for the sacking a furphy. The Supreme Court previously knocked back her case, with an appeals court now reviewing the matter. The coroner has commended a man who tried to save his 2 friends in a deadly boat incident at Dodgers Ferry last year. Thomas Fletcher and Leonard Priest drowned after their boat was picked up by a wave and capsized as they were inspecting cray pods. Jeffrey Clark was also thrown from the boat. He pulled the 2 men to shore in what was described as a remarkable job in difficult and traumatic circumstances. But the men in their 80s couldn't be resuscitated. The coroner didn't make any recommendations, finding the boaters had a respect of the water and complied with safety regulations. Tasmania Police is seeking information on damage to 9 vehicles in South Hobart overnight. It's believed the Vandals used sharp implements such as scissors to scratch these cars between 11:30 p.m. and 5:30 this morning. The incident occurred on Hillborough Road, with the expected damage bill topping $25,000. Anyone with information is urged to contact Crime Stoppers. The Tasmanian Aboriginal Centre has today revealed the traditional name for Hobart. The organisation says research has uncovered the name Nipaluna. The TAC hasn't submitted the name for official use but handed it over to the council.
And that gives all Aboriginal people a pride in place of identity, of knowledge, of knowing where they come from and what their history has been.
We are the first capital city in Australia to embrace a dual naming such as this, and like always, Hobart just leads the nation.
Although the name is symbolic at this stage, Mr Christie says he hopes to use it at all official functions. The South East Tasmanian Aboriginal Corporation says the actions are premature and urge for all Aboriginal communities to be consulted. Tasmanians will soon be able to try the first batch of the world's oldest beer. A limited run of the ale, which uses yeast from 200 years ago, will be available from tomorrow night.
Here's the beer which survived the high seas for more than 200 years.
This is the first time that anybody has ever had a taste of yeast flavours from that period.
It's called the Wreck, and it uses yeast taken from a single bottle of beer found on the Sydney Cove shipwreck.
The Sydney Cove is Australia's oldest merchant shipwreck. It wrecked in Bass Strait in 1797.
It's considered a miracle the ancient yeast survived for so long.
A yeast normally is only known to have lived 10 years, and yet our yeast lived happily in the fridge-like conditions of Bass Strait for 220 years.
Scientists have spent 2 years harvesting that small sample of yeast into a commercial quantity. Now 5,000 litres of the porter has been produced by James Squire, and by all accounts, it passes the pub test.
Really nice sort of tan head, beautiful red-brown colour in the glass. It's great. Yeah, you definitely feel as though you're stepping back in time.
And if you want a taste of this time-honoured treat, you'll soon find it on tap at St John. A special tasting will take place tomorrow night before another batch arrives in the state in the coming months. Tom Johnson, Southern Cross News.
Concerns are building over the Anglican selloff of Tasmanian churches to help fund a redress scheme for survivors of sexual abuse. Southern Midlands residents have voted to condemn the plan, which includes the sale of 8 or 9 Anglican churches and cemeteries in the community. The matter is on the agenda for the church's synod meeting in Launceston this weekend. Tasmanian high school students have been inspired by some of the most respected people in the country. 2018 Australian of the Year recipients visiting Queechee High School today, sharing their stories.
I just really hope that they listen to our stories and they really see that we're not really anything special. We just have followed our hearts and our dreams to bring about change.
For the 2019 Australian of the Year awards are open. One of Tasmania's major fundraising drives has kicked off today with the launch of Give Me 5 for Kids. Every year it helps raise hundreds of thousands of dollars to buy equipment, helping children's wards in Tasmania. This year the target is $500,000.
Sophia's enjoying life as any 4-year-old should. This bubbly little girl was born with a rare genetic condition, Apert syndrome, meaning she spent much of her young life in hospital.
Her skull bones were fused and her hands and feet, so she's had 18 surgeries to separate her fingers, widen her skull. She had open heart surgery last year.
Her family, one of the thousands supported by Give Me 5 for Kids, a packed breakfast today launching this year's campaign.
There was some suction machines and things like that bought a couple of years ago, which Sophia definitely uses every day, so that's one thing that she's definitely benefited from.
Triple M and Southern Cross Television teaming up with the hopes of raising more than $500,000 across June. In its 17 years, it's raised more than $2 million in the state, money going towards life-saving equipment for our sickest young Tasmanians.
When you're in the hospital, you just need support non-stop, so anything is helpful.
Devices used now in the neonatal and children's wards at the Royal Hobart and the Launceston General Hospital.
So it makes a big difference. So this ranges from providing sort of an environment for the babies to thrive in, as well as providing breathing support, diagnostic equipment and the like.
These families today offering support after years of being supported themselves.
Sort of thing, when she's admitted with a fever, everything helps. It just, to be able to get the care that she needs is fantastic.
You can donate on the Give Me 5 for Kids website or join in at the Huonville Banjos fundraising drive this Friday. Louise Hedger, Southern Cross News.
Tasmanians living with multiple sclerosis are hopeful we may be a step closer to finding a cure. Scientists at Hobarts Menzies Institute for Medical Research are currently building up a cell bank to help determine what causes the neurological disease and how we can fight it.
When you first meet Devonport's Dawn Murray, you wouldn't know she's battling MS.
For me, it's good, but there's things that I can't do anymore. I can't run, I can't jump, and that gets worse over time.
She was diagnosed almost 20 years ago, and her right leg no longer moves properly. In September, she and her partner will attempt to walk more than 300 kilometres across Spain, all to raise awareness and funds for others living with MS.
I use MS to drive me forward, so I know I probably won't be able to do something in the future, so I'm going to do it now.
And like many others, they remain optimistic of finding a cure. Neuroscientist Dr. Kayleen Young is part of the Menzie research team trying to identify the exact cause of the disease and in turn develop new treatments to fight it.
A lot of MS research to date has been carried out studying immune cells, but what we can't do is really study the brain cells.
That's until now. MS is a disease that attacks the central nervous system, and around 25,000 Australians live with it.
Per capita, we have the highest rate of people with MS in Australia.
As part of the new Tasmanian research announced today on World MS Day, skin and blood samples will be taken from more than 100 people living with MS. Scientists will then reproduce those cells into brain cells for further study.
This will be the most detailed genetic study that's been carried out to date in terms of trying to identify absolute genetic candidates that are critical for MS.
The exciting thing is this research is happening here and we can be involved.
The research could take up to 7 years. Monika Dadsen at Southern Cross News.
Well, now let's take a look at the day's business and finance news with thanks to Plan, your local super fund. The Australian share market has closed at a 1-month low as global markets are hit by concerns about the possible economic fallout from Italy's political uncertainty. The ASX 200 index has dropped by 28.9 points. A short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 75.1 US cents and 64.91 euro cents.
Tasmania's gold medal winning futsal player has returned home from Spain. Jake French was part of the national side which took out the Futsal Youth World Cup on the weekend. The goalkeeper conceded just 3 goals in 5 games.
Oh, it's unbelievable. To go over there and to win the whole thing, it was really unreal, and I wasn't 100% sure we were going to take the whole competition out, but we did, and I'm very happy we did.
French says it was the first time he had played alongside his teammates in the national side. The Aussies beat Catalonia 5-3 in the final. The mid-season break couldn't come quickly enough for the Hobart Chargers, with the men and women's sides currently plagued by injury, while the Tornadoes have concerns of their own, with captain Lauren Mansfield set to be sidelined for longer than expected. With star import Mathai Muo and BJ Radcliffe set to miss around a month with injury, the Chargers will need more performances like last weekend from NBL forward Craig Moller, throwing down 43 points in the side's win over Ballarat.
He was fantastic on the weekend, not just because it was against his old club, but backs to the wall for us with obviously Moo out for a while now.
The club has one more test ahead before a well-earned week off, up against league ladder leaders Nunawading at home on Friday night, before a favourable run home in the second half of the season.
Although the last few weeks have been tough, if we can get that W, it really sets us up for a championship opportunity.
Not without their own injury woes, Alex Finlayson could miss for the women due to concussion as they look to bounce back from a 5-point loss to Ballarat, which broke a 4-game hot streak.
We know that we can get better. Nunawading are a very good team and knocked off Kilsyth on the weekend, who are top 2 at the moment. So we know it's going to be a tough game.
Well, Torn skipper Lauren Mansfield will be stuck on the sidelines for at least another 2 weeks, but her coach is confident their dream run can continue, despite a tough weekend on the road coming up against Canberra and Nunawading.
I mean, at the end of the day, when a 5-game winning streak, we're going to ride this wave, see how long we can go, and then we'll take it from there.
And the Northwest Thunder will be out for redemption after a lacklustre effort against Ballarat, which saw them slip to 10th on the Seabull ladder, travelling to Canberra on Friday night to battle the Basketball Australia Centre of Excellence.
Good evening. Low temperatures today. Hobart, Launceston and Burnie all on 12 degrees, while Devonport recorded 13. Friendly Beach is the high, a top there of 15 degrees. Liaweenie bottomed out at -2. Quamby Bluff had 34 millimetres of rain overnight, while today Strawn and Mount Reid topped the list to 3 p.m. with 20 millimetres. Temperatures below average. St Helens and the Bass Strait Islands 14. Lowhead 13. Grove and Ooze 12. Liaweenie a top of 4. Now the cloud band started to take full effect from midday today as it crossed. It introduced a cold pool of air moving in behind it. Now that frontal cloud also streaming over southern parts of Victoria. Another cold front south of New South Wales is connected to a low south of Tasmania. Low cloud over South Australia is due to the high pressure system. Now that will remain stationary tomorrow, extending ridges south over Tasmania and to most of the mainland. The next cold front approaches Western Australia. The winds southwesterly at 15 to 25 knots, reaching 30 knots over the east. Lighter winds over the southwest lakes. Strong wind warning for waters between Sandy Cape and Tasman Island. We can also warn you of frosts for susceptible areas tomorrow. And into tomorrow we go. Partly cloudy in Hobart, 12 the top, 12 for Cygnet and 12 for New Norfolk. Launceston, a morning frost, a mostly sunny afternoon and 13 degrees. 13 the top also for Devonport with a sunny day. -1 for Campbelltown, a top of 11 tomorrow. Burnie can expect a sunny day. A cool start though, 14 degrees, 13 the top for Strawn with a shower or two. Sunny for Smithton and 14. While for St Helens mostly sunny and 13 degrees, as it will be for Swansea. Fingal, a morning frost, a top of 12. On Friday, a shower over the northeast, fine and mostly sunny for the rest of the state. A cold start to the weekend, but stable weather for the most part. Fine and partly cloudy weather on Sunday, the possibility of a shower over the east coast. Showers and a likely storm for Perth tomorrow. Partly cloudy but fine for Adelaide, Melbourne, Canberra and Sydney. Sunny for Brisbane and Darwin. After a bit of rain today, a few more showers at the moment over Hobart. Currently 8 degrees, Launceston 9 at the moment and Devonport partly cloudy and 10. Joe, this is the weather you just love, isn't it?
It is, yes, love it. Thanks so much, Merv. That's all from the team for now. Have a lovely evening.